What's going on? Welcome back to Fanatic Journey. So today I want to talk to you on Lucid, go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So Lucid went down 1.95% on Friday, bounced off of this low of 289, and that's been the common occurrence over the last couple of days. So at least on the technicals, that should really work in Lucid's favor going into next week. And plus, on a side note, I do anticipate the positive momentum from last week on a larger scale to roll over into this week until Wednesday and Thursday, but I'm going to talk all about that. When it comes down to Lucid, I did do a video just on my general thoughts on their earnings. So I went over the good, the bad, and the ugly, but of course the majority was ugly. But in reality, it did hold this $3 range very well. And so that does lead me to believe that the market already priced in that Lucid was going to miss on their earnings. And so it did go down, but given the numbers that they put out and their future guidance, this should have easily been at $2 to $2.50. So in reality, like I said, with it holding $3, that does mean that the market already priced all of that in. And this downtrend was probably just on that random surprise of just 9,000 for their 2024 targets. So once again, showing no signs of growth, similar to other companies such as Rivian. So Rivian got massacred on Friday, and that is because the market was not anticipating that. So this is where, once again, if you compare Lucid to Rivian, you can easily tell that Lucid had some negative earnings factored into the stock price. So going into this upcoming week, what does that mean? That means with it now at $3.02, that's factoring in all the good, the bad, and the ugly from their recent earnings. So that might be a good thing. So it is going to be piggybacking off of the broader market now. And so when it comes down to this upcoming week, like I said, Wednesday and Thursday are two things to watch for. Wednesday is good old GDP. And so right now on a quarter-over-quarter basis, it is anticipated to be 3.3. And I feel like that's a fair assumption, especially based on what Wall Street is saying as well. And then on Thursday, PCE. So the Feds like to look at PCE rather than CPI. January CPI data was very hot though, so maybe it might actually translate as well to PCE. But I don't know, maybe the market might give it a pass, similar to what happened with CPI, because CPI was very bad data, caused a little bit more of a sell-off, but was very much bought. So people bought the dip. So that might be a very similar occurrence to Thursday. Again, we'll just have to wait and see. But so far, it is anticipated on a month over month to be 0.3 versus a year over year 2.4. So we'll just have to sit tight and wait. But in reality, like I said, I feel like Monday and Tuesday is going to be generally positive, and then Wednesday is going to be dependent on GDP. Any companies unveiling their earnings, it's just going to be more so specific to that company. So a lot of these aren't going to translate to more of a broader situations or broader concerns. There's a lot of hype stocks out there that's unveiling their earnings, such as Fisker, SoundHound, good old AMC. There's a couple others. Polestar as well is unveiling their earnings on Thursday, but I don't really anticipate their earnings affecting Lucid. The only thing that could really translate and really affect Lucid is in their recent earnings, they did say that they're going to be rolling out the Gravity to Europe, and I believe there's an event in Geneva coming very soon. But when it comes to Polestar, if they give very bad guidance for their European growth, maybe that could potentially affect Lucid. Once again, it's all very much connected. But aside from that though, I was very surprised about this last week, and shorts not really doing all that much. So on Friday, shorts increased about 2.36 million shares, 29.95% of the free float is being shorted, 263.46 million shares overall are being shorted, and cost to borrow average is 31.54. I got rid of all the unnecessary stuff, so this is just the short interest. And so despite the negative earnings that did come out, shorts didn't double down. They just generally stayed flat. So this as well is more data to confirm that the price of Lucid was already factoring in that they were going to miss. So again, that's just my own interpretation. You guys do you and whatever else. When it comes down to options, you do see a little bit more optimism. So right here, about 72% of all the options being done on Friday were optimistic and bullish. $691,000 in calls being purchased versus 3.63 million in puts. Sentiment wise though, you do see that there's a consensus for it to be around $4 by the end of, looks like March the 15th. So over the next couple of weeks, it is going to be relatively stagnant. So just piggybacking off the broader market. So not much of a sentiment, whether it's going to be optimistic or bearish. Of the puts that are being purchased though, similar kind of nature. Obviously March the 15th, you do see a significant amount at that $2 strike price. So there's a lot of people anticipating for it to go below $2, but I feel like that has to do with maybe their earnings. But who knows? Once again, Lucid could very much pull down, because one thing that I did bring up in my video covering their earnings was that they didn't really give any reason to buy Lucid right now, because they talked on the Gravity that's coming out later this year. They talked on the midsize SUV that's going to be late 2026, but they didn't really give that many reasons to buy Lucid. They kind of talked on some positive things. So in my video, I did not bring this up. I kind of overlooked it a little bit. But one question that was posed to Peter was the fact that how is the Gravity's price structure going to be laid out? Similar to the Air Grand Touring, was it going to be a higher price model and then slowly lower down to the Pure? Like, is that what the Gravity is going to be unveiling? He didn't really disclose that, but he said it is fair to assume that that's going to be what happens. Still though, when is that going to occur? Because Pure, it was like 2 years after, so maybe 2026 at the same time as that midsize SUV, Gravity's pricing is going to go down. I feel like that's going to be a little bit more too much competition in among its own products. So again, Lucid could potentially trend down based on the options to that $2 range, just on the mere fact that there is no real reason to buy Lucid. And as I still said, I do and very adamant on saying that Lucid is going to need to dilute roughly anywhere from about $1.5 to $3 billion worth by Q3. So I do disagree with Lucid's recent earnings and everything else. So when it comes down to some support and resistance points that you need to really watch for, so with it sitting at $3.02, it is trading between this S1 and this pivot. So 273 is going to be that next strong support, aside from roughly this 290, and then $3.40 is going to be the next strong resistance. So I anticipate this whole week it just to trade within this range, so between the S1 and the pivot, unless there is some other external circumstance that does come out to really disrupt that. And of course, Lucid is going to be very much just very volatile. So let me know your thoughts on that. When it comes down to Elliott Wave technicals, it does have a pivot point of being $3.10. So like I mentioned at the very beginning, it is on a very strong pivot point right now. And so for as long as Lucid is above 310, then it is anticipated to get between this 489 and 526. And if it is going to continue to stay below this pivot point, then anticipate low twos to 251. So that's kind of exactly what I did mention, where I did see Lucid, given the earnings and just the lack of growth, lack of reason to buy Lucid, I did anticipate to go between that 2 and 250, but who knows, maybe the broader market does want to propel things higher. But when it comes down to the technicals though, let's quickly go over that, because of course what I go over is more so short-term stuff versus Elliott Wave and whatever. So right now it is lower percentile of the Bollinger Band and below a lot of the key pivotal moving averages that I like to look at, so the 50 and 100-day moving averages. And Lucid has always struggled with that 50-day moving average. Like for the last 2 years, I think it's only broken above that maybe 4 or 5 times, very small handful, and those didn't really amount to all that much, as you can kind of see exactly what did happen in December. So piggybacked off of the broader market, but it failed to get above that 100-day moving average. So I like to look at a lot of the data points. Looking as well on stochastic though, you do see a deviation, so red line above the white showing a bearish sentiment. So because of the Lucid earnings, maybe that is kind of resetting some of the technicals. So again, that could really stand to benefit going into next week, dependent on if that continuation of positive momentum still stands, as well just on a lot of the data. Number of investors have been getting in. You can kind of tell that based on the momentum indicator. So all in all, I feel like Lucid does have a lot of good opportunity to go up. And as well, analysts seem to be a little bit more optimistic. So these are some of the ratings that did come out after their earnings, so incorporating the good, the bad, and the ugly. And surprisingly, analysts are giving around $4, $4.50, and $5 ratings. So $4.50 was given by Bank of America, John Murphy, 53% success rating, Stefan, who does does have right here a 36% success rating, gave a $5 price target, and then as you can see a bunch of 4s. But given the fact that Lucid is at $3, that kind of is optimistic. And once again, I did bring this up in a previous video, Morgan Stanley, Adam Jonas, who has a 50% success rating, this is probably one of the most optimistic ratings that he has ever given. And surprisingly, he did actually give his rating 10 days ago, so before their earnings was released. So that came out of left field and was generally very positive. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Are you optimistic for this upcoming week? What have you been doing? Have you been buying? Have you been selling? So I myself have not been buying. I probably won't be buying up until Lucid comes out with something concrete. Like I kind of alluded to and ranted a little bit on, it's just the fact that Lucid doesn't have any reason to incentivize investors to buy. And when they do, that is where I'll be able to get in. I know different investing strategies and whatever. Some people are just day traders. Some people are swing traders. Some people are investors, and regardless of the price, they believe in the company, and all are fine, whatever floats your guys' boats. But in my case, like, I need to see a little bit more from the company itself, whether it be even just intellectual agreements, or because Peter did allude to that. He didn't really call out a OEM exactly, but like I kind of said, maybe I feel like it's Hyundai. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And take advantage of this promo as I've been sharing with you. So simply sign up for an account with Moon, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. Take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.